We told you Monday, Congressman Hank Johnson, he led the signing of a letter signed by 38 of the 56 members of the Congressional Black Caucus to President Joe Biden as related to the issue of advertising for black-owned media. Highly critical of federal government, the resources that have been spent towards black-owned media. Today, the Department of Health and Human Services, they released a letter that they sent to him. He sent this letter to me as well. And what's interesting about this letter here is that they detail just how much great that they actually did. They said from day one of the Biden-Harris administration through April 30th, 2022, the HHS COVID-19 PEC is projected to spend about 18%, approximately $65 million, of its total paid media budget targeting black audiences. This means that the total spend for this single federal campaign is well beyond parity for the black community, which makes up approximately 13% of the U.S. population. Now, keep in mind, black folks are 13% of those impacted by COVID. Of the entire paid media budget, more than 5.5%, approximately $20 million, was spent on black-owned and operated media, e.g., TV One, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters, and Oprah Winfrey Network. The Government Accountability Office report mentioned in your letter cited 1.02% as a level of investment for advertising of black-owned, give me 1 second, jump to the next page here, of black-owned, okay, here we go. Let me go back down here. Black-owned operated businesses by the federal government. But in their letter, they said that, their campaign, they spent additional $45 million, or 12.5%, with black targeted media, BET, The Breakfast Club, and Fox Soul. Quote, that is media that has extensive black reach, but isn't black owned or operated. In other words, approximately 30% of the total amount of paid media spent on targeting black audiences was spent on black-owned and operated media. In order to maximize impact in the black community, we recognize the importance of investing in both black-owned and operated media and black-targeted media. Okay, let's unpack this. First of all, folks, OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, is not black-owned. It is not black-owned. Discovery owns 95% of OWN. Oprah, it used to be 50-50. She sold 45% back to Discovery. She retains 5%. Discovery stockholders just yesterday approved their merger with Warner Media. Who owns Warner Media? AT&T. AT&T will own 71% of the combined company. That means that any COVID money that's going to OWN is going to AT&T. Now, I am going to be requesting from HHS an actual breakdown of that $20 million. Because what I want to know is, what is the total amount of money spent on paid media? And how much of that money goes to black-owned media? Now, it's interesting how they make this point about how they spend $45 million with black-targeted media. They mentioned The Breakfast Club, that's iHeartRadio, Fox Soul, Fox, BET, Viacom, CBS. Now, they include Fox Soul as saying they have an extensive black reach. I don't think so. And I've been on. I think we have a larger reach here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And I know we receive zero. The thing that's interesting here is they say the HHS COVID-19 PEC is not only making significant investments in black-owned and operated media, but also hired a black-owned and operated agency, Creative Marketing Resources, to oversee the creative development, targeting, and media buying of the advertising that targets black audiences. Creative Marketing Resources' experience and expertise in this space has helped HHS develop culturally resonant creative products and make strategic media buys to maximize our impact in the black community. Okay. I called, first of all, I'm just trying to I'm going to do something right here. Creative marketing resource. So let me just going to look up something right here. Creative marketing resource. Because I've never heard of them. So CMR, let's see who they are. All about CMR. It says their total market, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to figure out who are they? I've never heard of them. I'm going to reach out to some other Black-owned ad agencies to ask them if they are familiar with Creative. And apparently they're based out of Milwaukee and they have an office that's in Chicago. But here's the point that I'm making on here. HHS is one department. What about the rest of them? That really is the point we're making here, Michael. The federal government spends $1 billion annually on advertising. What's the total spend? We know, based upon the GAO report commissioned by Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton 4 years ago, that over a 5-year period, $5 billion was spent by the federal government. Black-owned media got $51 million of the $5 billion. That's right. 1%.
Mm-hmm. You know, the way they phrase that, and I have a background in marketing also, so I understand how racist the advertising agencies are and the whole industry. All right, so the way they phrase that, 30% Black-owned and targeted media, you have a bigger reach, I think, than Fox Soul TV. I've been on Fox Soul twice. Okay, if you go, and you have a bigger reach than even the Black News Channel. If you go, I'm on the Black News Channel's YouTube channel every day. Go look and see how many views their videos get. And this is not a knock against the Black News Channel, but go look and see how many views their YouTube videos get, and then look at yours. Okay, go look at Fox Soul TV. Go to their YouTube channel and look and see how many views their videos get on average, and then look at yours. So when they say 30% goes to Black-owned and targeted, but then they named the Breakfast Club owned by iHeartRadio, Fox Soul, that's Rupert Murdoch, who owns the Fox News Network. Okay, so you know this is like a 3-card Monte game or something like that, man. So we have to really be persistent with this and demand our fair share, especially when we talk about COVID-19 dollars, because we disproportionately indexed in getting COVID-19 as well, and the bulk of that money needs to go to African American owned media outlets, not something owned by iHeartRadio or something owned by AT&T. They get enough money as it is.
So here's what I thought was interesting, Crystal. They talked about CMR leading this effort. We never heard from CMR.
Mm-hmm.
My advertising arm didn't even present to CMR. We presented to Forrest Marsh. So I'm trying to understand, was CMR negotiating the ad buys? If so, you might want to tell us.
Yeah, well, I think, we don't know what the procurement process is for these government agencies, these federal agencies rather, and what that process looked like. And clearly, it does not appear that there was a public transparency. And maybe that's something that's standard within the federal government. I don't pretend to be.
And let me also add this, Crystal. We communicated directly with members of the White House COVID task force and the White House, and no one ever told us to reach out to CMR about ad dollars.
Right, because it could have already been earmarked for this creative agency. I think the thing, too, that I want to highlight is that we're talking about a set aside for COVID-19 money. But, what you brought up at the beginning of the segment was, what about the other agencies? And what about money that's spent outside of COVID? Pre-pandemic and even post-pandemic, even though we're not in the post-pandemic phase yet. And so when we're thinking about, yes, Black agencies are getting money because, like, quote unquote, special money because of COVID-19, What about the others? What about the other agencies that should spend with minority owned businesses, Black businesses? Is there a set aside? Is there a requirement, that allows agencies that procure over a certain dollar amount to spend with minority owned companies? And that's the real question. That's another question that we should be having, as we're having this discussion about how the federal government spends money. What does their procurement, process look like? What does the scale look like as well? And then who's holding them accountable? Who is the checks and balances for procurement at the federal level?
Matt, see the thing, Matt, is HHS is laying all of these things out and how well they did. I still want specific numbers. I want to know what was the total number of ad dollars that was part of this paid media campaign. Because one of the things that they did in their letter, they talked about all of these things that they did going out there. And what they did is they did stuff with, so check this out. They said they invested in Black-owned, operated, targeted media, speak for themselves, paid media, earned media, social media, paid partnerships, community events, testimonials, and the deployment of more than 17,000 trusted messengers, physicians, barbers, and faith leaders in communities nationwide. The HHS COVID-19 PEC has closed the disparity gap in vaccination rates. They did stuff with Black men, paid national partners, Black Men Engage. They did stuff with Jack and Jill of America, the National Medical Association, Cobb Institute, Women Missionary Society Foundation, the Links, Black Women's Agenda, National Black Nurses Association. The Roundtable in Jacksonville is one of approximately 50 community events the HHS COVID-19 PEC has held with Black communities across the country. And then they talk about all these interviews that they did with Fauci and others. But guess what? I remember them coming to us to interview Fauci. We did. The White House kept sending us, and we interviewed Cameron Webb. We interviewed the sister who was the co-chair of the task force. Interviewed all of them. But it's very interesting how we never were told where to find the money. But they sure knew how to find us for free media.
Right.
I think that's right. And I think Crystal and Michael have hit some of the seminal questions on the head. But what's really interesting about this letter is when they think the number is big and advantageous for them to show, they give it to you. When they don't give it to you. Case in point, I think it would be important to know the size of that contract for creative marketing resources, because I wouldn't put it past them to have a contract that's small, but for them to trot it out when they need to defend themselves in terms of the procurement that Crystal talked about and investment in Black-owned media. And if you notice, they did a job of trying to combine Black-owned media and Black-targeted media so the number looks larger. I don't know much about marketing, but just reading it on its face, it's very clear that they don't want to tell you the actual extent of that, because that would probably show how small that investment actually has been. So I think both of my colleagues have asked the appropriate questions, and I would want to know not only where the money comes from and who it goes to, but precisely how much is going to those people, because we know they do that. They say, oh, we gave them money, but we know it's tiny compared to what they could have given and should have given.
Yeah, so I could guarantee you Melanie Ann Igorin, who's Assistant Secretary for Legislation, trust me, she'll be hearing from us on Monday because we have some additional questions. Back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Wow. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?